Good afternoon and welcome to another session of the Here and Now videocast. And on this afternoon session, we have my dear friend Anusha Parshotam. And Anusha has a really lovely story to share with us. And on that note, I'll hand you over to Anusha. Thank you for
Hi,
being here.
thanks, Lindsay. Thanks for the opportunity. So as Lindsay said, my name's Anusha. I'm a coach and a trainer and facilitator. I am South African, if my accent didn't give it away already. Asian South African living in London now, so very diverse. Just loving life at the moment and focusing on me while we're in lockdown.
Anusha, please may you share with us your history. You say I'm from South Africa. Can we start there if you don't mind?
Yeah, so I was born in the 70s, so I grew up in the Apartheid era. So for those that don't know, that was where we were all segregated by race. So I grew up in a predominantly Asian, so a non-white area. Went to primary school, also people that looked like me, that came from similar backgrounds. And then I was one of the first non-whites allowed to go into a previously only white school when I started high school.
Wow.
So I hated it. It was one of the years of my life that I remember crying every day wanting to leave. But I also look back on that year and think that's probably one of the years that built who I am today.
Anusha, what did you hate so much about it?
So what I hated was when we went into the school, so some of the things that I didn't know. So I didn't know what all these different sports were because we didn't have access to many of that. I knew how to play netball, tennis, and I played tennis against the wall, not on an actual court. So, you know, my ability to play tennis was a little bit different. I didn't know how to swim. And so going into a school where it wasn't just about the academics, but also about the sport, I felt very intimidated by it all because I didn't know how to be part of all of it. But also it was one of those things where I think myself and my fellow non-white colleagues that came in from this side, and all of these people that were there, there was just no sense of how do we come together?
Integrate, yeah.
What are the things that we have in common that actually we can focus on? So we just kept focusing on what made us different and made that the part that we used to. So, you know, girls used to throw my lunch away every day. They used to call me a curry muncher. I stink because, you know, when I was in primary school, we'd take curry for lunch in between 2 slices of bread, and it was absolutely fine. And they would cut up my uniform because, you know, I didn't just strip down when we were going for PE because I was brought up in a much more conservative way. So things like that. But and I hated it. So I used to go home, and I remember I used to cry to my dad every day that I wanted to leave school. And he kept saying to me, no, there's no other option. So, you know, just get through the year and then we'll think about where else you can go. But looking back, I'm actually glad I had that experience because it's made me a lot stronger and see the world in a different way.
And Anusha, would this be how you'd sum up apartheid in general? What was it like living in apartheid? I know people talk about it, but there's not many that still understand it. This is for the younger viewers, I guess. Would you mind talking a little bit more about what it actually was like to live in such a time?
So I'll give you an example. For those who live in South Africa will know Milky Lane's been around for ages. And Milky Lane is an ice cream parlor. And I remember vividly on Sundays, my dad used to get all like the kids from the neighborhood into his yellow submarine, which we used to call his yellow Mercedes at the time. And we would go to Milky Lane in Hillbrow. And we weren't allowed to go into Milky Lane to eat our ice creams in Milky Lane. So we could buy takeaway and sit on the pavement and eat outside, but we weren't allowed to go into the shop and sit on tables and chairs and eat with other people. And that was because of the color of our skin.
And what was that like what was that like? Sorry to interrupt you. I'm just intrigued. What was that like for a young girl?
I think
Sorry.
Sorry, no. And that's what I was going to go to is, as a young child, you don't know the difference of where you're allowed and not allowed to go, because you don't know what white is, black is, all of those kinds of things. As a young child, none of that's inbred and born into you.
Mm-hmm.
These are things you learn. And so as a child, we had to learn really quickly where we were allowed and not allowed to go, who we were allowed to interact with, who we weren't allowed to interact with. So it brought racism onto us rather than we were born racist.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And then how was it growing up? So you went to high school, the first non-white in a all-white high school. And how did the years, one of the first, how were the years after that first year? Did it get easier to
Oh yeah,
integrate?
absolutely. It got so much easier because there was much more of mixing, and I'm a very proud South African. So I always say, when they talk about the Rainbow Nation, we genuinely are that. I know there are pockets where it's not like that, but I think on the whole, we genuinely are a nation where you can be anything now, anyone, and there's space for you.
And then what happened high school, after high school?
So after high school, I went to university, stayed in university for a very long time. Not because I loved university, but it was sort of an excuse not to follow the traditional route of, getting married and stuff like that. So it was sort of my excuse, I think, for a while to keep studying, because while I was studying, no one could really just get me married off. And then started working, started enjoying life, because, with working comes a lot of other forms of independence that you get, and enjoyed life. And then there was something in me always that said the world's bigger, and Johannesburg in particular, where I'm from, started feeling very small. And so I thought I need to do something different. And I used to work for British American Tobacco at the time, and an opportunity came up to move to Cape Town, which I literally jumped at. It was like timing was perfect, and it was that thing because Joburg started feeling so small, I could get out. I loved Cape Town. It's the most beautiful place in the whole world, and I know I'm not biased. It's such a beautiful place. And I lived there for 2 years. It was good in that it taught me how to become independent. When I moved to Cape Town at the age of 28, I think I was, I didn't know how to use a washing machine. I still don't know how to cook very much, but at that point, I lived a very spoiled life at home, always having my mom and dad to do everything for me. If my car broke down, my brother was there. So, didn't have to really worry about many things. And Cape Town sort of opened that up in that I was on my own and I had to learn all these things, which was great. And that was the stepping stone to say, actually, I can do this. And that's when I decided I wanted to go elsewhere, because then South Africa sort of felt small. And so I moved to London in 2009.
Okay. So before we go on the trip to London, there seems to be a theme of wanting to grow and expand. Is that true?
Yeah. So I'm going to steal something I heard on one of your other podcasts, if I may.
Please do.
So one of your colleagues mentioned a term that I absolutely loved, and she said grow and glow. And I think that's probably what I live by. We continuously grow. And while I do that, I'd love to be able to be happy and glow. So,
well, I think since I've known you, you've just been glowing. So I think that's working. Anyway, that's really true for now. Anusha, would you say that the experiences of apartheid, the high school experience, has kind of cultivated this glow and grow mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think part of being there was having to fight for your place, having to prove you deserve a place. Like, just when I think of all the entrance exams we had to write to qualify to even be selected to go in, it wasn't like, well, we have place, come in. It was, you need to prove that you deserve your place here. So I think all of that mindset has always continuously pushed me to want to do better.
Okay.
And not do better in competition with other people or anything, but just if I'm competing with anyone, it's with myself. It's just to push myself to keep growing and learning, because I have a very curious mind. So I do like to learn and grow.
And what would you say is the reason for having an internal challenging mindset as opposed to a external one? Does
So
it
I
make
think
sense?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely it's changed over the years. Where I think before it was definitely the external one. So you're competing with other people to get into places. You're competing with other people to get top marks or whatever it was. You're competing with other people to have the best branded clothes or be in the in crew or whatever that was growing up. I think over the years I've realized actually that all doesn't matter. Like it's more what growth means to me, and it's become more internal focused.
When did that happen? It's a big shift.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd probably say moving to the UK has taught me that.
And what brought that kind of big mindset shift? It's a complete 180 that.
So the UK is very different from South Africa. And part of why I love traveling is learning about different places and how the world works. Um, so something that we always joke about as South Africans in the UK is a lot of people say, oh, people aren't ambitious here. English people, they're so content. And I see it as, oh my God, they're so content. They don't have to be the best at everything. They don't have to have all the money, and they don't have to have the best house or drive the fanciest car, which is such a typical South African thing. You want a big house and to drive a fancy car. But they want to live their lives. And that's where the shift came for me, is experiencing that was quite like, whoa, what is this? But at the same time, it became this, oh, actually, I could do with some of that.
So there was an internal longing for this kind of, would you say it's nature, that your inherent nature? It seems more natural for you to be doing this than the external competitive mindset. And it was a natural shift I'm picking up, right?
I think so. And I think part of why South Africa, or particularly Joburg, I can't say this about Cape Town, but why Joburg particularly felt really small for me was that I didn't quite feel like I fitted into that mindset of, you need to be ambitious, you're aiming for your nice house, your nice car. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong, it's just different.
Yes.
And yeah, that's part of why I probably decided to venture somewhere else.
Okay, great. And now that you're here and you have this very enlightened grow and glow mindset, what's your, sorry?
Still growing and glowing.
I don't think we ever stop, to be honest. I think we just get brighter and grow bigger.
Yes.
In
definitely.
a good way. It's not a competitive way. It's in a good expansion, enlightening way. Anusha, what's your vision for the future?
Ooh,
for you, and what you hope to bring for yourself and in your coaching journey? Because it's a serving journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that spectrum.
So so I'm going to break it up into two ways. One is what I like to bring of myself to others. And the other thing is what would I like to bring for myself. So I'll start with what would I like to bring for others, because that's probably the easier one, is to, through the coaching and facilitation and stuff, is to really support other people's growth. So be that enabler that supports other people to grow and glow, and because sometimes, we all find stumbling blocks, and I think the way someone described coaching to me the other day, and I thought it was also very brilliant, as you can see, I just steal people's ideas, is, if you find yourself in a thrown into a river and the water's just flowing, and you know the rapids are too rough and you can't actually swim against it, so you decide you're going to go with the water, but then you get stuck by a rock. And actually what coaching does is it just gives you that little nudge to move yourself free again, to flow with the water. So if I use that analogy, that's what I would love to be able to bring to other people through the coaching, and spread that out, whether that's from a work perspective or personal perspective. I don't distinguish coaching
Okay.
as you can only do it in work and you can only do it at home. For me, it's about the person, and they belong in a system, whatever that system may be.
Mm-hmm.
From a personal perspective, what would I like to bring to myself? See, I told you the other one was easier. Probably a bit more patience with myself.
In what sense?
So I push myself a lot, like, come on. Like even now with the lockdown, it's like, take the time, just chill, So yeah, so patience and vulnerability.
Would you mind saying a little bit more about vulnerability? It's one of my keywords for this year. I love it.
Oh, okay. So I have to be careful how I say this.
Not at all. No, no. Just say how you feel.
So vulnerability. So over the years, I've learned to become independent. Do everything yourself, not need anyone. Yeah, not. I need to think about what I'm saying here.
Take your time. Take your time. We have no rush.
Not. Yeah, it's that thing about I don't need anyone else because I can do it. And I have been doing it. It's this thing about letting other people in, and being okay with that. So yeah, letting other people see you're not perfect. And
Has perfectionism being a challenge for you in your life?
I wouldn't say perfectionism in that sense, but in terms of vulnerability, it's letting people see you for all that you are, not just elements of who you are.
And you haven't been this way, right? This is why it's okay. And what was the reason for you? I'm trying to match it up. It does. I trying to understand the you I know for this lovely brief 5 minutes that we've been knowing each other, and this challenge that you're now revealing, which is so powerful.
So I think there's an element of not everyone needs to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I'm an open book, but I choose what I share.
So is that an open book?
This is what I'm saying. It's the contradiction is I say I'm an open book, but I choose what I share with who I'm speaking to. Mm-hmm. And partly it's because we grew up in that, or I think I grew up in that whole thing of, worrying about what people are going to say, and that's the thing I'm trying to break in, like so many people I speak to is, don't worry about that. Not everyone's going to like you. You're on chocolate. You know what I mean? Yeah, so be you, and it's okay.
And this is a big challenge for you, the vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
How do you plan to face it and to embrace it? Because we embrace vulnerability. It's not something we go do. It's something we've got to learn how to be with.
Yes. I chip at it every day, a little bit.
The big rock in front of the vulnerability. Okay.
So you chip away at it every day, and some days you do better than others. But yeah, it's that thing about just reminding myself it's okay.
And it is okay.
It is okay.
And what so this was the vision for the future. Mm-hmm. So it's in working on the vulnerability. Anything else you vision for yourself?
Having a partner.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the
sorry.
vulnerability.
Yes, they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, great. And now that we know what the future is going to look like, I see you support Liverpool, by the way. I'm sorry, I know we spoke about this, but you just keep reminding me. And I can't wait for the season to start again, hopefully, so that they can win. Okay.
Vision, the future vision is football and travel. Those two things have to come back for me.
Football and travel. Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully soon. Hopefully it won't be too long. And then Anusha, my famous question. I mean, I love this one. It's got so much power. I think you know what's coming, right?
Yeah.
What would you say to the Anusha who went to that one of the first non-whites to go to high school? Because that would be in a sensitive age and a really delicate experience, right?
Wow, 5 years old. So I'll start with the vulnerability bit. It's okay to be vulnerable. Be real, be you, and it's okay. Be authentic, not perfect. Be authentic, not perfect. Not everyone will like you. You're not chocolate. That's okay. Don't worry about what everyone else is going to say. Stick to what you truly believe in. What else would I say? Ooh, the thing I would definitely say to my younger self is balance, work-life balance. Live to work, don't work to live. I'd definitely say that. What else? Life isn't a competition. None of us come out of here alive. So life isn't a competition. There's space for everyone. So if you could choose to be anything, choose to be kind rather than competitive. And wear sunscreen. Very important. Wear sunscreen every day.
Wow, that's a great message. You understand the power in that question, right?
Yeah.
That is very relevant even in this moment because of our own growth and inner child healing to be with that vulnerability. Okay. That was a very nice message.
Thank you. Oh, the one other thing I'd add on is about parents. So, you know, respect them. You might not agree to everything they're saying. They grew up in a different world, but respect them because it's weird how when you get older, you actually take on a lot of what they did and said later. I'm not saying everything they did and said is right and you just have to believe it all, but yeah, respect them. That's me.
Thank you so much. That was really great inner child healing work that you did in a few minutes. Anusha, what's here now for you? What are you doing and what are you bringing?
Right now, I'm learning to cook. After 13 years of living on my own, I'm finally cooking. And don't tell anyone, I'm actually enjoying it.
Cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Something I never thought I'd like, but I'm enjoying it. So in the year now, it's just being, having faith over fear, because it is quite a fearful place we live in at the moment, but trusting that things will work out. It will work out. Yeah, and so at the moment I'm being and still learning. So study is important to me. So still learning and growing. But yeah, doing stuff like literally stuff to help me glow from the outside and the inside. Because yeah, there's time and there's space at the moment, which I don't think we're going to be in the luxury. Not going to be in that place where we'll have the luxury of this again. So yeah, just enjoying it.
And you say such beautiful things. There's so much, and I'm just absorbing all of it. What would you say is your growth tools? How do you grow yourself on a daily basis?
So I use affirmations every day. Okay. So I say things to myself in the mirror every day. So I love affirmations. One of the things that I listen to a lot is the inner voice. Mm-hmm. It's my own personal inner voice. And just trying to change that every now and then when it's a little negative or
It,
critical.
so it's not the intuitive voice, it's the more critical, judgmental voice.
Yeah. I mean, I trust my gut. My gut has not let me down at all. And a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're quite intuitive and stuff like that." So from an intuitive position, like that's my go-to. If something doesn't feel right here, I will go with what's happening here, and that's what I go with. It's led to some extraordinary experiences, but I guess it's
Wow.
part of growing and glowing. Um, so yes, I use affirmations. I think about that negative, that voice that you sometimes hear. I journal a lot, so I
Mhm.
write, not for other people and not to share, but I write. And I'm spiritual in the sense that, so I don't pray or meditate or do things the way other people would expect me to do, but I believe. I even have the tattoo that says believe.
I believe, very nice.
Yeah, I believe, and that's me.
And what is the belief? What is it? It's a strong thing for you. You emphasize it very emphatically. What is it? What do you believe in?
Unconditional self-love.
Wow. So I mean that is like in the face.
So that's what this is. So it's the heart, and then it says believe. So
Hmm.
it's unconditional self-love.
And
Start there.
what's so powerful about that for you? Why does that resonate so strongly?
The world changes,
Hmm.
things change around you, people come, people go, things come, things go, money comes, money goes, but you are you, and that's all you really have for yourself. So if you're loving yourself and you're kind to yourself, that helps you be a better person to no matter what's going on outside, I think.
And when did this very, very deep, beautiful insight become your motto?
3 years ago when I got the tattoo. No, no, it's been there. I think a lot of it's been there. I've just never quite articulated it. Yeah,
You've always had this sense of loving yourself is the most powerful thing you can do.
especially in my 30s. Yeah, like, yeah, I think it's been there. It's been there in my 20s. It didn't manifest necessarily in the right way. Um, yeah, and I think I've just matured, hopefully, matured and grown into understanding how I can manifest that in a better way. Yeah.
I love the message, by the way. It's so great. And I think a lot of us that,
I
sorry?
didn't question, Lindsay. Sorry.
I said I love that message. It's so beautiful. I think it's the healing the world needs right now is everybody paying more attention to themselves, to better understand themselves, to heal themselves. And in doing so, the ripple effect is profound.
Because I always say this, and even when I work with clients, I say the one thing you can control is your own behavior, where you can't control people's reactions towards you. Okay, but in response to that, all you can control is your response to their responses. Okay, so if you start focusing on you and you start thinking about how do you want to come across to the world, and again, I still say not everyone's going to like you, and that's okay, but it's how are you comfortable with what it is you bringing out there or putting out there or showing or saying or telling.
And when you say grow, just as before we come to an end, we've been doing really great. We'll grow to glow. You grow to glow, right?
Grow and glow.
Grow and glow. How would you say how far are you on this journey? I know there's no end, but how far are you on this revealing, enlightening journey that you're on?
So it is a journey and it's got many different paths, and I think I've come a long way, and the coaching has definitely helped. So I think choosing to become a coach and do the stuff that I really love and am passionate about, and choosing that over money and a high flying career and fancy shoes and handbags. Um, I still like my handbags, just not as many as I had. But it's that thing about that helped me on my journey, because it's coaching involves a lot of reflection, and I think the more you become aware, the more you're able to grow.
You have some very powerful and deep insights, and they're really, really great to hear.
Yeah.
And what's your message for anybody in a similar position to yours at any stage of their life? You know, okay, there's no more apartheid, and I'm really grateful for that. But anybody facing challenging situations, you know, what would you say is your pearls of wisdom?
So something that I'm learning through the whole lockdown scenario is sometimes it's more important to grow inwardly than it is to grow outwardly.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're growing inwardly, once you start growing outwardly, it makes that a better experience. So I personally believe that all of us have some level of healing or work that we need to do on ourselves. That doesn't come from other people, it comes from you. It's that thing about, you know, what is it that you need to do for yourself. Also a lot of times in society we want to, I call this thing about, you know, when you're swimming and you're in this fast lane and you're continuously going up and down. When do you stop and realize that actually you don't know how to swim and you've just been pushed by other people's currents up and down the pool at their speed? So it's that thing about just stopping, thinking about, how does it feel? Is it, if you genuinely strip all the outward stuff, outside stuff away, inside, how does it feel? And if you can genuinely say it feels good, then that's fine.
And this is something that this is your journey. This is what you've been working on yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've said that out loud to anyone ever. And now I'm going to share this with the world.
The whole world. It's going viral. This is going to be a viral one. And last contribution. What's your? I know you have a motto. You know, it's what
I do.
you have two actually. It's the grow and glow, and it's to love yourself. Would you say unconditionally, by the way?
Unconditional love and belief in yourself.
And that would be that's you. That would summarize who you are.
Me in a system. So me, like my family is really important to me. So, you know, it's me within all of this, because I don't believe we operate in isolation. But we have to start somewhere. And so I've chosen to start with me.
Anusha, that's
fun.
sorry?
Have fun. Never let that inner child die. Have fun. Life is for living. So live it.
You've been very powerful and emphatic, and it's lovely listening to you and hearing your views and perspectives on life and your journey. It's been a one of exposure and vulnerability. I think as much as you're trying to embrace your vulnerability, it's been there already. I mean, you don't go through what you go through without vulnerability being tested. So have loved having you here. Is there any final words you want to say to the world, because this is going to go viral, as we said?
Viral. It's gonna go more viral than my TikToks. Oh my god.
We're gonna test it.
Yeah, no, I thank you for the opportunity. It's been great, and just be you, be you. There's space for everyone. Be you.
Thank you so much, Anusha. It's been so great having you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wish you great learning and development on that love yourself and the grow and glow journey, because it suits you. I think you're already living it, in my opinion. But yeah, I think you need to find what you need to find. But from an outsider's perspective, you're living it. So
thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Speak to you soon.
Bye.